We in a dance, so we make a time. Good afternoon again to you, my friends. How are you? I know you all are wonderful, wonderful people. Having a great day so far, so good. I hope. I am hoping and I am praying that you are enjoying your day. I had to come back with you again, okay? This afternoon, I came across something and I just thought I wanted to talk about it. Is that okay? It's something that's been going on a lot that I've been seeing, especially here on social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, with these women from West Africa. These West African women are just so disgusting. To me, they disgusting because not all. I don't want to put everybody in a blanket. Okay, no. Let me reiterate that. Some of these African women, mostly dark skinned African women from places in West Africa, they have such a self hate about their skin, their complexion, and it's just it's just the way it is. It's like I look at all of these African women, most of them, and they marry white men just so that they can have light skinned children, and hair texture can change to more finer texture, and it's just disgusting. Instead of looking at what's on the outside, why don't you try looking for yourself for what you are from the inside? And the thing I say about this, because God tries people at the heart. No matter how you try to change certain things, the way you want to change it, and how you want life to be for yourself, um, God has other plans, and He tries us patiently at our heart when we do things. The real you is going to be exposed. Now, I came across this woman video. I don't know if anybody's familiar with her, but she has a video channel and she promotes her family, her life and her family with her children and her husband who is white and her children who are biracial, mixed cultural children, mixed racial children. Not only are they just black and white, they also probably have an identity crisis with who they belong to as in their nationality. That's confusing. This is why I go so hard at birthright citizenship, that this will also help people stay within their own identity, because you going in all these different cultures and races and things of that nature just cause nothing but a bunch of a lot of confusion in the world. Now these young ladies, even though these are some beautiful daughters that she have, it's not their fault. They didn't ask to come here, and they came here, they got here, whatever. It's going to be an identity crisis eventually in life, because of the way this selfish woman was thinking, because she could not find somebody suitable enough to marry if that's what God had planned for her, but that's something she planned for herself, I guess. Or most women that want to get married, have a family, whatever, they don't want to, they're going to wait on Mr. Right, and they just going to go through the rainbow colors, I guess. you know? But there's some things that people don't realize what they do outward will eventually affect them inwardly. Um, she promotes her family, like I said, and her African foods and everything else to her children, and eating from African meals and whatever, but they still very young. But as time progress, as they grow older in the world, they going to have some serious challenges of culture, race, and nationality. There's three things there. There is culture, there is race, and there is also your nationality that shapes your world views, that shapes you. Now, these young people, they don't realize it because we always say God loves, yeah, He loves us all, and no, God don't want us to discriminate and do harmful things to other people because of the things, but we also want to let other people know too some of the things that they need to look at themselves. So when that time comes, you just be ready for it. Okay? You just got to be ready for it no matter what you sometimes can say to your children. And you got them caught up in this kind of warfare with themselves. They not going to hear you because it has been done, and it's just something that's just going to be done when you favor people on skin color and not looking for something more valuable within yourself, not finding yourself to be valuable within. There was a reason why in the Old Testament, Jewish culture did not marry outside their culture. There was a reason for that, so that the child would not lose its true nature of who he or she is, especially for the male child, to know their true identity in who they are. And you get lost. You can't. You fighting up against too many different worlds. Um, that's what these people don't seem to understand when they go around having all these interracial, biracial, multicultural children. Look at the last president we had. You think if Obama was a true American black man, would he have made the choices he made to let all these immigrants into the United States of America and allow them citizenship or whatever kind of, things that he was creating problems for America? It wouldn't have been done if he was a true black, full breeded black American man because of his black American experience and what he know what those problems can bring into our culture here, into the United States culture, customs, whatever. They wouldn't have never allowed it to happen that way. And that's one thing that I witnessed and I saw for myself, and even with Kamala, with her way of thinking is so liberal because of all that mixture of culture and nationality in her. She doesn't know how to really think with any reasonable making any sense. When you got all of these different races and multicultural things inside of you, it's hard to really make a real good conscious decision about things without offending somebody. Either you're going to choose black or you're going to choose white. There's no in between. There is no in between. I'm just an American and I'm a black American. I'm a black American. I was born here, raised here. Everything I learned is I learned it from right here in the United States of America. I have never lived or any place else in the world. So when you got all of these different multicultural nationalities and all that mixture of blood in you, you fucking nuts. Okay? I'm just gonna say it. You're nuts. I saw this movie a long time ago, and I don't know if a lot of people saw it before, but it's called The Imitation of Life. The mother was black, and the father was unknown. But as you can see, clear as anything, the mother had a white boyfriend or a white man that she had this black child with. But the child came out looking more white than it did come out looking more black. As much as she loved that little girl and she wanted the best for her daughter, and she tried to share her daughter's world with her, her daughter could never understand why she did not look black. She did not fit in to be black. So she had to try to go around and imitate herself as being more white because that's what she looked more like. She looked more white than she did looking black. So every time she met a boyfriend, He found out who she was, even in her job. When they found out she was a black woman, they fired her. And then when she got in a relationship with a boyfriend and he found out she was really black, he got angry with her and he whipped her and he beat her. So, even though she cared and loved this man, he just could not get past the fact that she was a black woman, okay, imitating herself as being white. So the mother went through all her life loving her daughter, heartbroken over the fact that her daughter, as much as her mother was a godly woman, a woman of faith, a woman that had good career, she was a good person. But one thing she could not do is save her daughter. Okay? Her daughter had to live in a world that the mother created for her daughter. Not saying that her daughter didn't love her, but her daughter just had to go through life trying to find out who she was, not knowing her true identity. And that happens a lot in biracial, interracial children. Um, Anything you say to them, they feel you attacking them. Oh, everybody loves everybody, and all of this weird stuff that they say, and the anger that comes out of their mouth, and the things that they start to do just so that they can feel accepted by people. They carry on, and that's not the only story. We could go back to stories like that story of Imitation of Life. And it was another story called Pinky as well, where Pinky was also a white girl that was trying to fit in with truly who she was, her white side of her. And she just wasn't accepted in their world. She was kind of like outcast on both ends. But one thing about I know in black people is that we will accept it much more quicker than white people will accept it in their society. Now they accept it now. Now it's not as bad as it used to be in during those times. But because it's starting to happen so much now, it's gonna change. Because of the simple fact that God gave everybody their own identity. He did. He gave us all our own natural identity. And he says how to keep his commandments. He even talks of things of that nature. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's ox, thy ass, or anything of thy neighbor's. Meaning that you should never want to be imitating somebody else's identity or trying to take somebody else's identity or change the identity to look more like another group of people than looking like more like the people that you belong to as yourself. It's just the way it is. And as much as people don't want to accept that truth, that's the truth. That's the truth. And that's the problem with a lot of things I find in West Africans, especially West African women. They have a problem with their complexion. They have colorism that is so embedded in them that is so disgusting and it's so reckless and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I know because I've been around them. Remember, I used to be married to one. So I've been around these kind of people. And I see how their mindset is and the way they think and they way of looking at life through whatever lenses that they have they looking out of. Look at it in Nigeria. Look at all of the killing going on in Christians in Nigeria and who they calling on to help them. They calling on President Trump. They're not calling on another African nation or any of the other nations over there in Africa that are Christians to come and fight and help other Christians in their country. They calling on the United States of America because they want whiteness to save them. That's their mindset of thinking. Instead of just trying to organize and get with your other brothers and sisters in your country in the third world country that you come from, your other third world people, and try to fix the problems over there. But the first thing they want to do is run and fit in with the American world and the culture that you know what? Someone is at my door, but I don't know who these people are. But I'll be back with y'all. Just give me a minute. Okay, everybody, I am back in effect, y'all. People was at the door. They were inquire, coming here to look at some remodeling some things, but I told them I have to get back with them. Anyway, like I was saying about talking about these children that are being born in these biracial, cultural, whatever marriages or relationships. See, people don't step so far out of boundaries with God that they don't realize it because that's why the Bible teaches us and it also guides us so that we would, do things without doing it, without thinking carefully about what we're doing and how we destroying other people's lives out as we're doing it just to please ourselves for that temporary moment of time. But we have to look at longevity, how we really want society to be towards our children when we're gone. Now, I shared the story about the imitation of life. I sent another story about Pinky, and I shared the story again about Queen, and that was the story of Alex Haley's mother side of the family. Not his father, but his mother side of the family, how she came from a biracial love child. She wasn't even in marriage. Her father and mother were not married, and at that time, it was forbidden. It was a forbidden type of relationship because she was considered a servant, and he was considered her master, or he was the owner of the plantation that she basically was born on in that at that time. And after the Civil War, a lot of the slaves were let free, and some of them would remain in the same, place where they, on the same plantation and take part of sharecropping. And some were let free and they had to go out and find their own families or whatever at the time. Some of them even went up north or whatever for to remain free in a free state as they got free. But Queen, when she found out her true identity of who her real father was and everything, she felt like, she was protected all the time because of around, the other children, the slave children that was in the field, because she lived in the house, of course, and was raised in the household with her father and around, you know, his family, his family, and his wife and his other family. But as she was growing older, of course, she wasn't protected by him anymore, and he couldn't really keep her there like she had to go out in the world. And when she went out there, she decided she had it rough on both sides. Black people didn't want to accept her because they felt she thought she was better than them, and white people didn't accept her because she wasn't them. And it was just a messy world for her to grow up in. And in the end, she finally came to her senses, and she did end up settling down, marrying, and having her life with her new husband. With her new husband, she had found a good black husband, but of course that didn't last long because her son father was killed by the clans. Um, so she had to go in the world with her son by herself and find a new life for her and her son. And of course, she was very overprotective over him because she didn't want him to have to deal with the outside world of being a black child, a black man growing up in the world. But you got to let them see the world. You got to let them see the world for themselves. And if you can't hold them back. So that was her story. When you ever get a chance to watch that movie called my Alex Haley called Queen, that's a very deep personal story, and it happens a lot to a lot of us. That's why a lot of you will find more angry blacks that are more of biracial, interracial, biracial, whatever multicultural backgrounds because they really don't know where they belong. They really don't. If they say they black and they white, then that's a problem. If they say they white and they black, then that's a problem. So they basically are just in the middle of everything. They basically in the middle of everything. But and then on top of that, what I'm saying about this content creator or this woman who shares her life, her family, and everything on YouTube or on social media or whatever, of course she looks for some common commentary, right? So I gotta call it out for what it is, and that's exactly what I'm doing. These young ladies, these girls, well, it might not matter right now because they female children, because they can marry and, all of that can change whatever what their husband become. They might not even marry a black man or white man. They probably marry somebody from a totally different nationality, culture, and everything. That can possibly happen. That can happen with some of the men too. But I'm just saying, when it comes to this, these people with these identity crises that they have, I mean, really, and the reason I'm going so hard on the West Africans is because I see them doing it more than any other group of people, any other group of Africans from African nations. I see them do it more than anything in this culture of the Nigerian culture. They are the most stubborn, the most, I mean, they think they the most wisest people, and they can be very ignorant and very ignorant, selfish people. Um, they mindset, they try to be so American till it's just so, to me, it's just so crazy. No matter everything an American do, they want to try to outdo it or try to overdo it or whatever. They just seem to be the ones who seem to have that problem the most. Every other groups of people, yeah, hey, they come here, they marry their own people wherever, they build their lives together here in the United States among themselves as a group and a community of people that probably came from their country, and they happy with that, living among their own, culture, and still continuing the traditions and the culture that they have. Um, and they more familiar with. But the things like these ones, that like this one here and the other one, oh god, it used to be this other one. I don't know if you're familiar with her page, but I used to watch her, and she had all her life on social media about her marriage and her divorce and her separation of her marriage, and had the kids all crazy on there. She was crazy on there and half nude, walking around with hardly nothing on, and don't even know who's watching her or her family or her children. She's out there being a single mother, just flaunting everything she got, and didn't even take any time to think about the fact that you don't know who's on social media looking at you and stalk you, find you, and do some horrible things to you. So you have to really be careful about your nudity and everything that you put out there on social media. It's just another incident just took place. A content creator, a young girl, YouTuber or TikTok. I don't know what her platform really was, but she goes to Tanzania, to Africa. She got engaged to an older man, a white man, and she was a black woman, a black American woman, I believe, and she went and she had a problem with dating black men. She just felt they were difficult to date. And I had heard that a lot from a lot of foreign black women. They always find it very difficult to date black men. Um, I think the difficulty comes only because they just have that mindset already that black men are too much of a problem, and they can't live according to some of the standards that are required as a black American man lifestyle may be. They can't afford the poverty, or they can't afford to do the struggle, so they want to get somebody that don't have to struggle, and they just have to just be there, and they feel they're going to be treated with a whole lot more better respect. And that's not always true, because look at this happen to this woman. We don't know if it was her fiance that did it, but it's very questionable. Okay, it's very questionable that she went all the way to Tanzania, to an African country, and was found hanging. and they try to make it out as suicide or whatever. But you know what? I say like this, you know, anything is possible, but a lot of things she said about black men is just not going to sit well with black people. They just not going to care. They just not going to care because you chose your preference. Not saying that it couldn't have happened as far as a black man killing you, because I see that all the time. I've been seeing a lot of crime with black men killing their wives, their girlfriends, and even their children. People have just got so far away from, like I said, that good book, that now they making their own decisions without thinking, and they find themselves going to an early grave, or they find themselves living in a living hell. They make a living hell for themselves. So that's why you got to be very careful the way you choose your partners, how you want to raise a family. Seek and find yourself in God first. Always seek God first. Seek the kingdom of God before anything else is added unto you. Because you got to understand that whatever choices you make is going to be a life choice. Listen to what I'm saying. Whatever choices that we make is a life choice, a lifetime. I don't have to live this woman's experience, but I just wanted to share this for any other person that might be out there. Maybe it might be happy for her. It's happy for her because she got what she wanted out of her life of having those daughters. But what about their future? What about their life when it comes to them making a choice of who they're going to choose as their family, or if they do decide to ever get married and want children of their own one day? That's something that only time will tell. But already, how she's already given them this imitated lifestyle, the imitation of life. Um, Instead of just looking at life like in her lenses as, oh, if I get me some white, I get some children from a white man, and they come out with finer hair, finer features, light skin, whatever, my world problems are going to be easier, or think life ain't gonna hit them so hard, and that's not always true. I think being more of a pedigree, you get better choice, you get treated a little bit more better and respected more than when you want to become somebody that you're not supposed to become. That's all I can say. But it's a lifetime choice, and I just pray for those little girls that their life won't be the things I said, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. And already, when she was serving this food in this photo, as she was serving them, whatever that is, the goosey soup or whatever is a West African dish. Whatever she was serving, the little one didn't seem interested in eating, but she kept asking, "Oh, you want this? You want that?" And the little one just seemed like she didn't really basically want to eat it. That's that other side of her. You know, that is the other side of her that is rejecting that type of food. She might grow up just liking macaroni and cheese and collard greens and soul food, or she might just grow up just rejecting this kind of dish altogether, just to get away from something that she find foreign in her. Because she's actually, I don't know what part of the world they're in. I don't know if they're in their country of Nigeria or West Africa, or are they in American culture. Well, things are changing, so things are changing. But just in case people don't know, the younger one is already in, the little one. The oldest one don't look too like she's too thrilled about what that food is anyway. I never really watch her videos. This is the first time I ever came across this video, but I have seen so many of them. If they not bleaching their skin or putting on tons and tons and tons of makeup and doing all of that stuff to their face, to their skin, wearing, I mean, I'm talking about piled on makeup. They put like 3 or 4 different foundations on their skin before they actually make up their face to transform themselves. They wear a lot of makeup. We American women, well, myself, I can speak for myself. I am a dark skinned woman. I have every broad features. But I tell you one thing, I don't wear that much makeup. Okay? I just touch up on places where I want my face to stand out the most. And the places that I most like to work on, I do the eyes. Once you do the eyes are popping, everything else will follow. That's all you need. Just do the eyes. You don't need all the extra stuff as far as makeup. Get yourself a good skin cleansing, keep your skin clean, affiliated, and that's all you need. You don't need tons and tons of makeup to look beautiful. And that's another problem I find with these West African women. They love to put on tons and tons and tons of makeup. They weigh too much makeup on their skin, and that's what damages their skin. And then some of the foods they eat and everything, with all the oils and I guess fried foods, and most of their foods are either fried, they make more stew, but it's a lot of oil in that, a lot of fatty oils and things of that nature that gets in their pores, and it just blocks up their skin. That also can be a part to your diet when you're not eating food, taking away from all the excess fatty foods. And look how they cook their foods. Look at that. You can see all the oil at the top of the pot. A lot of oil, a lot of fatty food. Their food is very fatty. And I never forget one time when I first ate um, an African dish called ugusi, and I ate it. It was too spicy for me, and I can't eat spicy food. I used to like to eat spicy food, but now I can't. I can't. I can't mess with it. I can't mess with it in my system. So she So anyway, I remember the first time I ever ate it. I stayed in the toilet for just about the whole day. My stomach was so bad. It was really messing up my system. It had my system really messed up. And I told my ex-husband I can't eat that stuff no more. He complained about the foods that I would like to eat, like my soul food, like, mac and cheese and collard greens and, southern dishes. Now he'll eat more like the rice and if I made chicken and stuff, but they like to eat all of that spice and oily, greasy food and stuff, and we can't really digest that stuff in our system. That probably one time we probably could have, but now it doesn't work well in my system. I don't eat all kind of foreign foods. There's just some foods that I just don't like to eat, and one of them is African and Indian food. I'll eat Chinese food, only certain dishes. I don't eat all of their foods either. I only most of the time when I eat Chinese food, I'm always either finding chicken wings and fried rice or something like that when I do Chinese, and sometimes I do like a egg foo young or something like a omelet. That's more like an omelet to me. Something I'm familiar with, like in a way. But I don't really eat too much foreign foods. I just don't mess with too much of that stuff in my system. And one thing I don't like is African food. It's too spicy for me. And like I said, the first time I ever ate some egusi soup, it really destroyed my stomach. It really messed up my stomach really bad, really bad. See, they can eat that stuff because they already their system is used to it because they've been eating it since like now they've been eating it since they've been little bitty ones. In most American households, we don't feed kids solid foods like that. In American food, we don't give them too much greasy, spicy food. Most American foods, when we have small children and stuff, you don't even make big dishes like that. We don't pile up a whole bunch in our children's plate. They get a very small portion of the food, serving of the food, so their system will be able to work with them slowly but surely. And it touches their palate or whatever. But we don't try to give them overeating sizes of food. And then when they small and they're young, You don't put too much spices in the food. You just don't. Babies, they probably get a little milk and a little, some milk and some cereal in their bottle, and maybe breastfed or whatever. But as far as when it came to food in my time growing up, I don't know about now what parents do with raising their young children today. A lot of them are being raised in early learning educational centers. A lot of them are being raised in early learning centers. But even in those early learning centers, some parents bring their own food and they give their children a certain portion of what they want their children to eat, and certain kinds of food they allow their children to eat. They don't let everything get into their children's system, especially when it comes to foreign foods. They just don't let their kids eat outside food. They rather their children eat from what they cook from home, or send them with something from home to eat, and not something from. At least they get to monitor what their children are eating, and what their children might have some kind of allergic reaction to. Well, anyway, I just wanted to just share this one about this West African woman and her life on YouTube, and how she shared her story of her family and everything on social media. Her interracial, biracial, whatever culture. It's just like a leopard and a lion having cubs together. A leopard, they both cats. They both belong to the feline family, but they have different diets and different ways of life and different things that just happen. That if they become a mixed breed of something, then they may probably have a weird looking, or that cub or whatever might not survive like the other cubs, that come from the other, feline. Like if they was a cat, a feline, a pure breed, a pedigree, or whatever. It's always something. Even when you see pets, when you see dogs that have different, mixed in them, it's a different temperament. It's a different temperament. Sometimes the temperament can be very difficult to figure out. Why this dog act this strange, and it's mixed, and it has these different things in them, like a pit bull and a poodle. I could imagine what that would look like, a pit bull and a poodle. So, anyway, just get ready for the rapture. But I always think that, your nationality, your culture, and your race, all of that shapes your world and your views of your world. And if you are caught up in the middle and mixed up in all kind of different bloodlines, it's just going to be crazy for you. Like Kamala, you could look at Kamala and tell she ain't wrapped too tight, and neither is her buddy, the other one, still trying to be the president of the United States. So they trying to get Kamala to run so that Obama could run the White House. That's all it is. It's Obama trying to get back into that White House because he is liked by those people from overseas, those foreigners. That's what it is. They trying to get Biden back in that. I mean, they trying to get Obama in that because he has that kind of influence, international influence, and he could have more rights giving to the people that aren't American citizens, that he will make it easier for them. That's why. Pay attention. Anyway, gotta go. You all have a wonderful and blessed afternoon. If God's willing, I may or may not come back in the evening. So you all take care. Peace.